Hey everyone, this is Prompt and Circumstance. I'm Ilan,
And I'm David.
and this week we're going to show you how to upscale images to 4K and beyond. David, last time we talked about image generation, you showed us some pretty cool high quality images. So, how did you get those to work?
Yeah, I used a workflow in ComfyUI, of course, and it was all done locally, and I'm going to walk you through how to do that.
Awesome, looking forward to it.
All right, so this is the workflow, and it is probably the more complicated workflow that some of our audience might have seen. What it's doing is it's taking three different models and it's chaining them all together in order to do the upscaling. And it also adds in some realism to the texture of the skin because, as some of us might know, looking at the AI generated images of people, the skin looks sometimes plasticky. All right, let's walk through this. All right, so we are going to provide this workflow. It'll be in the link in the show notes. So you don't need to create this from scratch. You could just grab the JSON and drag it into ComfyUI, and away you go. Now, when you do that, it's likely going to give you a bunch of warnings because you don't have the models in here and possibly some of the custom nodes. So let's walk you through that. All right, so one of the first things that you would want to do in ComfyUI in general is install the manager. Believe it or not, ComfyUI does not come with a manager UI, and this is where you would want to go in order to install, say, the missing custom nodes, which some are used in this workflow. So when you open up ComfyUI, you're not going to have this manager here, and let's show you how to get that.
Gotta have a manager, man. Otherwise, the org chart is too flat.
It's too flat. Got to make it hierarchical.
Can I import a Comfy UI CTO?
Then it'll just take over. All right, so if you don't already have the manager installed, simply come to docs.comfy.org/manager/install. It's an official add-on to ComfyUI. So just come to this page. We're going to link to this in the show notes for the ComfyUI Manager installation. It's an official add-on, and you can just follow the instructions here to get this installed in your instance.
How long did it take you to figure out that you needed that?
Oh, it was like right at the very beginning
Okay,
because I follow
got it.
the like I do the YouTube videos and all that, and they usually say that. Yeah. All right. So now that you have the custom nodes installed, you're going to want to take note of this note on the left-hand side. And so this is going to give you the URLs to all of the different files that you're going to have to download and where to put them. So for example, these two links will send you to the CivitAI or CivitAI page, and you will download them and put them into the Diffusion Models folder within the Models folder. Okay, and same thing with the checkpoints here, and so on and so on. And again, if you don't want to look at the note here, we'll have that in the show notes. But it's interesting if you have a look at how all of this comes together, because the first two are the models used for the first two steps of the refinement, right? So what the first model does is it just does this base upscaling of the image, and then the next model does the refinement, and then there's a subsequent additional upscaling. All right, so here I am in CivitAI, and this is the first model. So when you click on the link, this is where you would land. And the way that you would download it, well, first off, you need to get an account. So just create a free account. And then over here, make sure you select version 4. And then you can just download the selected model and save it to, again, the correct folder. Now, these things are not small. So you can see here, this model is 22 gigabytes.
With the manager, is it allowing you to just click once and download all of the linked models, or do you have to go one by one and download them all from the links in the note on the left-hand side?
The manager does not take care of the models, or the model files, I should say, because we're including variational autoencoders and so forth. So this will need to be a manual
Got it. Okay,
process.
good to know.
Yep. So on each of these pages in the CivitAI, if you're not familiar with them, you'll see some example images here. I mean, this is kind of funny. I guess this is meant to be like an Eastern European block where I guess we see Spider-Man drinking a beer. Well, I won't get into that here. Over here, this is the other model that we're going to be using. So this is Z or Z, Epic Realism. And so again, just come over here, download that. It's a 5 gigabyte file, so not that big, but nevertheless, make sure you have room and put it into the correct folder. So the last model that we're going to be using is something called Seed VR2. And this is something that has been released open source by ByteDance, the makers of TikTok. And you can see here on this page that they talk about video upscaling, which we're going to do in a separate video, but this model also handles image upscaling. And so that's what we are going to be using it for. And you can see some examples here in terms of before and after. Very good details here.
You know, I gotta say that all of these model companies, they need better naming schemes. What's going on with these super long, simple names?
Yeah, Seed
They
VR2.
should just, you know what, across all of them, they could probably hire one marketer whose job it is just to come up with good names.
What? You mean seeding infinity in diffusion transformer towards generic video restoration doesn't work for you?
You know, it doesn't quite roll off the tongue, David.
Not okay. It's just a few tweaks I think are needed. Okay, so those are the three major models, but there's a lot of other files that you would need to download. For example, there are some LoRAs here, the low rank adaptations. So these are files that you would need to download off of CivitAI, and again, the links are provided. Additionally, of course, there's a CLIP, which, do you know what that stands
No
for?
idea, David. What does it stand for?
It stands for Contrastive Language Image
You know,
Pre-Training.
I gotta say, I prefer clip. I think this is what I'm talking about. They clearly got into a room for 10 minutes and thought about what should we call our thing?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it was named by engineers for engineers. Okay, so download these files into the corresponding folders. So note that one of these goes into the clip subfolder, and then the other one goes into the text encoders subfolder. Also in the text encoders is this Qwen3 model, and then we have your variational autoencoder, and then you have your upscale models here. And when you're done downloading all of those files and putting them into your folders, just press the R button, press the R key. And what that will do, you can see that I've done that just now, right? Is that it's going to update the list of files that are available in these nodes here, right? So when you have downloaded the diffusion model here, you can click on this and select where you've put that. It's important that you actually do that because the paths that have been set here in the JSON file might not necessarily
Makes
match
sense.
yours.
Question. Considering that Claude Code and similar local coding models can control your desktop, could you just drop that note into Claude Code and tell it go download these files and put them into the correct folder?
That's really neat of an idea. I think it's worth trying. I think it would understand what it's got to do because it's pretty straightforward here. It's all
You
laid out.
should
I'm going to switch over here to this other workflow that we've previously introduced just to show you how I got the images that I did. Right, so this is using ZImage Turbo, and I told it to generate just an Asian male with a samurai bun and standing in the middle of traffic. It's a cinematic close-up, and there we go. Now, if we look at this file over here, this is 1280 by 720, which is 720p approximately, right? So over here, after you've selected all of your models, you come over here and you would just choose the image that you want to upscale. So here in the load image node, go ahead and specify that. All right, so I've selected the Asian man image, and what you could do if you really want to is tinker with these values here, but I'm just gonna leave them as is, and nothing else needs to change. So I'm just gonna click and see how this goes.
How long does the upscaling take? I remember you saying for videos it's like an hour, right?
For videos, it takes a long time. For images, a couple minutes.
Okay. Which is why it takes so long for videos, because it's like if it's a couple minutes per image, that's like per frame in the video, right?
Yeah, exactly. When you're upscaling videos, there's also the additional task of being temporally consistent. So it needs to take that into account too. So what this is doing is this is actually rendering three different images, right? It's running the first model to do the upscaling, and then it's running the second model to do the refinement of the skin and so forth, and then it's doing the final upscaling using Seed VR2 to get our final image. And we're going to see how this looks like at the very end, where there's a comparison. You can just see, back and forth what it
Very
looks
cool.
like. Oh, sweet, it's almost done.
Go when you leave to go to the bathroom at the restaurant, and then you come back and your food's at the table.
The food's already served, yeah.
Scaling is a dish best served cold.
So the workflow has completed, and you can see that when you scroll over to the right, when you pan over to the right, you can see the various different passes that it's taken. And over here, this is the final result. So first off, the image that we get is a much higher resolution, right? So we started off with 1280 by 720, and we're ending up with 4500 by 2500. So that's a significant upscale. And when I zoom in here, and I showed the before and after, you can see here's the before, and here's the after, right? I can go in a little bit further here. Look at the eyebrows, right? You can see much more detail there in the eyebrows, and even in the eyes too, right? And now you'll notice though that it's tried to keep some of the imperfections in the skin. So like if you look at the before, you notice that there's some like sunspots on the skin. But then when I scan across, you can see that not all of them are preserved, right? So this does mess a little bit with the skin in terms of like identifying features. So if that's important to you, then this is not the right workflow. But if all that you're doing is, hey, I have a generated character and I want to upscale that image, then this is perfectly good. So that's the before and after. This is the final image here on the left of the two. So you can right click on this and click open image, and that'll bring you to here where you can simply right click and save this image here, this 4K image that we've generated. So that's just how easy it is.
Amazing. That's a really cool workflow. Thank you for showing, David.
All right, so that upscaling took 360 seconds, so that's 6 minutes. So not bad for going from 720p to 4K. And again, my machine, it uses, it's got 16 gigabytes of VRAM and 64 gigabytes of regular RAM. And if you are so inclined, you can further continue to upscale it, right? So you just come to here, select the 4K image that you've generated, and then upscale that, and you'll get an 8K image if you have a big enough machine for that. So this is a very powerful workflow. I think it's great that this is something that can be done locally, and I hope our audience can make good use of this.
Very cool. Well, thank you for showing us that, David. And for the audience, if you want more tutorials on how to do cool things with AI, then follow Prompt and Circumstance.